Butterflies are a beautiful little creature. And have you ever thought about how they become butterflies though? We all know that they start out as caterpillars. We know they go into a chrysalis, and then in that chrysalis there's a transformation, then they come out as a butterfly. But what really happens in the middle? Is it just a nice little sleeping time, or is it really messy in there? I think it could be quite messy, and that's what life can be like. We're going to talk about that today, the messy bit in the middle. Hi, Jonathan from Live Love Coach. Are you or someone you know feeling stuck, searching for direction, or wanting a clearer sense of what's next? You're welcome to connect with me. Whether you're exploring practical next steps or seeking God's leading, I'm always open to a genuine, no pressure conversation. Welcome back. Life is never all butterflies and floating around and being, terribly easygoing and fluttering around in the wind, is it? We all know of the different stages of life that we go through. There's always those things where we feel like that caterpillar that's crawling around on the leaf, crawling around, not really able to go far. You're stuck on that bit of leaf, bit of branch, hiding from the birds, trying to grow and get to a stage where you can get to be that butterfly, where you can end up being the butterfly that you know you can be. But what happens to get to being the butterfly? Often we see these days with the likes of Facebook and Instagram, all those things, all the butterflies that are floating around. We see these people who seem to have made it. They've got the flash car, they've got the flash house, or the great person, or whatever they're doing, that flash holiday that they're going on. And we see all of that happening and we think, wow, they've made it, they've really done well. But did we see them as a caterpillar? I don't know how many, unless you really know them well, how many of them would you actually have known as a caterpillar? You wouldn't really know where they started out. If you follow some people on social media, you'll hear the stories of how they came from nothing. They had nothing. They were just that caterpillar. They were crawling around in their little old space. Now you see them, they've made it. They've got, they've built a business. They've got their place in this world, and they're comfortable with where they are, and they're fluttering around. They're enjoying things. But what happened in the middle? We don't really ever hear about the middle. We don't ever really hear about that messy part where they're in the chrysalis, where they're changing, they're forming into this butterfly. I don't know really what happens inside a chrysalis. I've never seen it, I've never studied it, but I can only imagine that there is something pretty interesting going on in there, that somewhere in there, that hard-shelled chrysalis is allowing that caterpillar to just transform amazingly through things. They're making a huge, it's making a huge change in there. It's shifting from being this caterpillar, which had multiple legs and a long body and didn't have anything that resembled wings or major antennas or anything like that, into this thing that is beautiful, that has big wings, that has 6 legs, has a skinny little body compared to what the caterpillar had, and it comes out and it looks amazing. But that bit in the middle, that messy bit, is what really makes the difference. If they didn't go through that messy bit, then they would never turn into a butterfly. They would just stay a caterpillar. And that's the thing in life. Sometimes we need to be willing to go through that messy bit. Are you willing to actually take that chance to go through and do something that seems hard, that seems a bit out of place, to not be seen, to not be known, and to actually build and develop into something bigger and better? Life has challenges. We all know that when we go through different parts of our lives, that there's always the ups and downs. It's a bit like, sailing a boat, and people often say, you'll be sailing along, you have the calm seas, but you're guaranteed you're going to come into a storm somewhere along the line. And if you're not going into a storm, you're probably coming out of a storm. And if you're coming out of the storm, the calm may not last that long. Well, hopefully it's not that bad that you're always in and out of storms, but often those storms are what build us. Those things that challenge us are what help us create even bigger and better things for ourselves. They make us stronger. They develop us. They make us into the people that we become. But sometimes we try and just stay in that easy part. We never actually step outside of our comfort zone. We never allow the messy to happen. We can stay there, and we can just, when things start getting tough, we just back off. We don't try and push further into it. And that's, it's understandable. Everybody likes to feel comfortable. Everybody wants to be able to be in a place that they can just feel like they're doing all right. But if you want to go further, sometimes you need to push harder. You need to actually push past the things that are bugging you. You need to push past those hard times and move into a time where you take on those challenges. You hide yourself away, you do the work, you do the development, and you make sure you put yourself in a position where when you come out of it all, you do come out stronger. When people do see you, they see the end result and they're wondering, wow, how did you get there? But don't ever forget that middle. Don't ever forget that hard, because it's not always going to be the easy. Even when things seem like they've got there, sometimes you can back off and you can think, oh, it's all good, no problems, I don't have to worry now, I'm floating around like a butterfly. But the birds are still there. Things are still going to come after you. Things are still going to challenge you. A butterfly is whisked around by the wind in a lot of cases. What wind are you going to follow? Are you going to be strong and you're going to try and set your path? You're going to stick to the path that you want to go to, or you're just going to let things blow you around because, you've done the hard work and now it's fine. You can just get whisked around and it's no problems. Now, we need to be able to stay focused and work on the things that we really want to make happen. I'm sure if you ever done anything new and you really wanted to get there, you really want to get good at it, then you've had to have worked at it. Now, a lot of people I know play golf, and golf is one of those games I do actually enjoy, the odd game of golf, but I know I don't spend enough time playing golf to actually get good at it. To be able to get my handicap down to a place where I'm competitive. I just go out for a bit of fun, have a hit around, I can swing the club, I can make that ball go a few hundred metres and away we go. But nothing like what somebody who plays regularly can do. They can be on the green in a couple of hits and they can be putting one or two shots, they're in the hole. Me, I'm 4 or 5 hits down to the green, I'm half a dozen shots at the hole, and hey, I'm happy. We'll get if I can get under 10, well, great, I've done well. But and that's the thing. What are you willing to work at? What is it that you want to put the effort into and really make happen? Sometimes when that's the case, you need outside help. And just like somebody playing golf, often they'll go and get a coach to help them understand how to swing, how to hit the ball better, where they're going wrong, what their form is like and all that sort of thing. And the same as in life. There can be things that we're going through that if we try and just do it on our own, we just keep swinging the same. We keep making the same faults, same mistakes. We don't actually do what we could be doing better because we're not getting help with it. I remember for a while I tried swimming. Now, I admire the people who swim. They go to the pool in an hour, they swim multiple lengths. In an hour, I was getting through hardly any lengths, so I won't tell you how many because it was pretty embarrassing, but it was hard work for me. I just didn't have the fitness or the strength to do it, and it was quite challenging, but it wasn't enjoyable enough for me to want to stay on. But I remember meeting a guy who was getting lessons, and he wanted to learn how to swim. And he's getting the lessons, and while he was listening to the coach coaching him, he seemed to be doing all right. And I know this because I was watching, I saw him getting coached because I was having a rest at the end of the pool, having a look around, and he was getting coached, and I could see he was listening and he was taking in and doing the things that the coach was saying. But the problem was when the coach walked away, he then came back and went straight back to what he knew. He went straight back into doing the things, doing the strokes that he was, that he knew. And he was like, this coaching is just not working. I'm not getting anywhere. And I didn't say it to him, but I probably should have, but I didn't know him. He was just ranting off because he just finished, and he's like, gets in the pool and he tries to carry on to swim. And he's just thrashing away, slapping his hands around and, going, this coaching doesn't work and no good. But what he did was when he left the coach, he just went back to the same way he was doing things. Instead of taking the knowledge that he had gained from the coach, the things that he had been learning, the way he had been practicing, and continuing to do it that way, he just went back to his old way of doing things. And that can happen with us in life. We can get coached, we can get people to help us and say, hey, this is the way that, we would suggest you do things, or here's a new idea and here's how you can work through it. But if you don't take those things on, if you just revert straight back to what you're doing and say, that's a waste of time, I'm just going to keep doing it this way. When you're getting coaching and people are helping you, you've really got to be able to take it on. And when you walk away, that's when the hard work starts, because that's when you've got to take that knowledge that you've been provided and you've got to turn around and you've actually got to put it in place. Because it's very easy when somebody's standing there saying, right, this is how we're going to do it, this is how you work through it, and this is the way it should pan out. But when you walk away, that's when the hard work starts. That's when you need to go, okay, this is how I've been learning to do it. This is how I've been working through it. And I'm going to continue to do that, because it's very easy to revert back to what we used to. Very easy to carry on doing what we were doing. But that's where we need to be able to work through and go, right, okay, I'm going to take on board what I was told. I'm going to take on board the things I've been talking about and thinking about. And I'm actually going to put them into practice. And you continue to do that. And it's not always going to happen straight away. It is going to take time. It is going to take work. That's part of coaching, is that you need to be willing to actually take on board the things that have been told to you and actually work through them, move forward and continue to do them. Sometimes some of the things don't work for you, because what works for one person may not necessarily work for you. But it's taking the pieces that do work for you and putting them into practice. Being willing to make those mistakes in the middle. Being willing to try new things in the middle. Being willing to try and things be messy, so that you can get the end result that you're looking for. I know what that's like. I've changed businesses, I've changed jobs, I've worked through a lot of places where, for a while I had to look like I didn't know what I was doing. I had to learn new things. I had to learn new processes, new ways of doing things, new things that keep coming along. But that's the thing, when you work through it, you keep on trying, you keep doing the things that you need to do, then you can eventually get good at what you're working on. But if you're not willing to take that chance, you're not willing to work through it, ask somebody for help, find ways of doing things, then you're never going to become that butterfly, because you haven't put in the effort. So what is it that you want? Do you want to be that caterpillar crawling around, or do you want to be that butterfly flying? The difference is what's in the middle. Where are you putting in the effort? Where are you putting in the work? Are you willing to get there? How are you willing to get there? Coaching can be a great way of moving forward. It can be a great way of actually challenging you, helping you to think differently, helping you to learn more about yourself and how you process things, how you need to do things, help you get clarity, some direction and some purpose. All these things come through getting assistance. There's so much that we can do on our own, but there's also more we can do when we go with others. The old proverb is that, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with others. And that's what coaching is about. It's about being able to go far. When you go with others, you can actually grow, you can learn, and you have more stamina, you have more ability, because you're relying on others and letting them help you. And that really helps you move forward and work through that middle stuff in the middle, in the messy bits, and being able to really make sure that you are going to get to your destination that you want to get to. So if you need some help, finding some clarity, finding some direction, figuring out what your purpose is. If you want to know about your personality, well, who are you? What is it that makes you tick? How do you think? How do you communicate? How do you actually, work through things? What gives you joy? What gives you energy? What drains you? All those sorts of things are things that I can help you with. We can talk about, we can work through, and we can find those places that are going to bring you to your best. They're going to help you get to where you want to be, what you want to be doing, and really make a difference in your life. So reach out, let me know how I can help you. We can set in place a plan to make sure that you're going to get to that place that you want to be, that you can be that butterfly, that you can spread your wings and you can fly in the direction you want to go. Look forward to catching you soon. Bye.